Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing an oil change on a Toyota 2020 Camry. This is going to be the V6 engine. We're going to be going over all the parts needed. First off, the oil filter. This is the part number. When you open it up, you're going to get a drain for the oil filter. More on that later. And it's also going to come with two gaskets. One gasket is for the oil filter drain. The other one's for the oil filter housing. And then it will also come with the oil filter. It doesn't come with the drain plug gasket for the oil pan, so we'll buy this separately. Next, for the tools, I'm using a 3/8 ratchet along with a 4-inch extension. This will be used to remove the drain, and then a 14mm for the drain plug gasket on the oil pan. Now this little adapter, I'll explain this in a little bit. So I'm using a Mako tool to release the oil filter. I noticed on mine it was extremely difficult. Now the good thing about this tool is that it's a 1/2-inch drive, so I was able to put in a 1/2-inch ratchet onto it to release the oil filter. But if you can also get this oil filter wrench from Toyota. I bought it a while ago. But if it is really tough, you can only use the ratchet with the 1/2-inch drive. That'll work just fine. And then I'm using the torque wrench here. This will help me tighten down the drain bolt and the oil filter housing and the drain for the oil filter housing. The flathead screwdriver here, the gasket for the drain plug sometimes gets stuck onto the oil pan, so I just use that to scrape it off. Now for this adapter, the torque wrench here is a 3/8 drive, but the filter wrench is a 1/2-inch, so I needed this little adapter just so I can use my 3/8 torque wrench on the 1/2-inch drive oil filter wrench. And this is the setup right here. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, we're just going to release the oil filter cap. This will just allow the oil to drain down faster. Once you lift up your car, you'll see the oil filter is in the front towards the passenger side, and then the drain bolt is going to be right behind it, also on the passenger side. So the first thing you're going to want to do is release this oil filter drain right here. It's just going to be the 3/8 size, so you just need the extension like this. It'll fit right into that square hole. And what we're just going to do is just release it, and just a little bit of oil is going to come out, not too much. And then you're going to grab the drain right here. You're just going to push it in and snap it into place until you see oil flow out. So this will flow out for about 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm just going to let this flow out until I release the drain bolt here, 14mm. Just loosen it up, and we're just going to let this drain out. Once the oil starts to drip about right here, I just grab the flathead screwdriver, pop off the old gasket. Sometimes it gets stuck on there. It's pretty difficult to remove, so just tap it with the hammer on the other end. Replace the gasket, and we're going to torque this down to 30 foot-pounds or 40 Newton meters. And then we'll just clean off the excess oil. So now we can go to the filter, remove the drain. There's a small gasket in there. You're going to remove this gasket, and then it also comes with the kit like I showed you earlier. Just go ahead and replace the gasket and just tighten down this drain for the oil filter. This is going to be tightened down to 9 foot-pounds or 12.5 Newton meters, not too tight. So now we're going to be using the Mako tool to remove this. Like I did mention earlier, this was on really tight, so having the 1/2 inch drive helped to get it loosened up, and then I'm just able to release it by hand. When you do the drain, this is going to help you when you try to remove the oil filter, because otherwise you're going to have a lot of oil spill around everywhere. So I'd highly recommend you use that little tool they give you in the kit to drain off the oil. Releasing the oil filter gasket O-ring here, just use a small little screwdriver. Flathead, just pry it out, and then we're just going to put in the new one. Make sure it goes all the way around into the same groove that it came out of, and then just lightly oil all around the gasket. You don't want that gasket to go on dry. This is how you can create a oil leak. So just make sure it's got a thin coat of oil all the way around. Put in the new filter. It's not directional, so it can go in either way. You're going to push in with 2 hands until you hear an audible click. And it's going to look like this. And then we can just go ahead and screw it in by hand. And then we'll go ahead and torque it down. I'm using the 1/2 inch just to drive it down, but it's not necessary. You could just drive it all the way down by hand, and then we're going to torque this down. 18 foot-pounds or 25 Newton meters. Spray off any excess oil, clean it off. Now for the oil, we're going to be using the Toyota 0W20. You don't need Toyota oil. You can get any other 020 oil that you can get your hands on, as long as it's full synthetic. But this car, the V6, does take 5.7 quarts. I ended up using all 6 quarts fully. Once I started the car up and let it run for about a minute, turned it off, I saw that the dipstick had gone down just because it fills up the oil filter a little bit. So I was ending up needing to use all 6 quarts completely. Now to reset the oil light, it's really simple. Just turn on the ignition, and with the arrows on your steering wheel, we can exit past this maintenance required soon first. And then we're just going to use the arrows to hover over the vehicle settings. Scroll down to the scheduled maintenance, and then just hit yes. And you're all done. So the reset light is done. And like I said, once you top off the oil, let it run for like a minute. Turn it, and while it's running, just make sure you don't have any oil leaks. Turn it off. Recheck the oil with the dipstick, and then just add just to bring it back up to full. So that's the end of the video. If you liked the video, learned something, helped you save some money, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.